All right, so welcome to another live composing video. So today we are continuing the process of trying to write this character suite. So last time we were on here, I came up with this. I was not pretty proud of this, so we're not going to play it again. This is something I'll delete that. So I'm not going to delete it. I wasn't happy with it. And that's okay, all right? You're not going to be happy with every single thing you write, all right? I would say a lot of the time there's going to be lots of stuff you write and you're just not going to be happy with it. Some people are never happy with anything they write, but it's all about trying to find that balance of finding something that you do like or that you like well enough that you understand it's got something, all right? Even if you grow sick of it, even if you're self-conscious about it. So this might have some potential. But I'm going to move on. One thing I do want to do is I wanted to try, when I started, I wanted to try and stick with these drums and this kind of thing. But I'm not seeing that as being particularly useful at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch all these instruments, except for maybe the dulcimer, to just a standard drum kit for now. So we can remember, well, for a couple of reasons. One, putting it all on one instrument will allow me to delete the others for now, which will give me a bit extra RAM to work with, because this is not a powerful computer that I'm working with, as you might be noticing now, because it's taking forever to load this instrument. There we are. But, and then the other thing, it'll just give me a little better sense of what we're working with. So let's see here. I'm still getting used to this library. Gotta unmute that. So hi-hat, which one is the hi-hat? Let's see here. So that's the ride. That's the tom, snare, kick. What was that? What was that? There we go. So it looks like a G sharp or A flat. So let's find that real quick. So like I said, right now all I'm doing is I'm just kind of switching this over so that I can remember it. I think we had the shakers actually on the hi-hat roll. Ooh, that was loud. Sorry about that. All right. Oh, you might have also noticed I'm not using. There we are. I'm not using a camera today. All right. My office is horrendously cluttered in here. My roommate and I are cleaning up our place for a bachelor party that we're hosting in a bit. We're just gonna have some old movies, have some snacks. It is an old high school buddy, so we're just gonna do like an old school high school movie night. But we're cleaning the whole house, and so a lot of the furniture is stuffed in my room with me. All right, so what was this? So yeah, we had the shakers. Let's get rid of the shakers, make some more room. Let's see, remove selected tracks. Conga. Conga, I think, was the bass drum. Or no, it was the snare drum. That's right, yep, because these are the offbeats. Or not the offbeats, the backbeats. So let's see on the Groove Maker, which one was the snare again? F. All right. So let's go here. Just preserving it. That sounds like a snare drum. So let's see. Then we had gong drum on the bass drum. That's right. So I'm going to copy that. Get over here. And actually, let's check which one was the bass drum. Kick. Oops. All right, so it looks like, was that a B? All right. There we go. So this is just a simple groove machine. Let's delete these. No, not the sketch piano. Remove these. We'll mute those for now. Let's give this a listen. All right, there we go. So kind of messed up. Ah, this is still set to times from the last project I opened in Cubase. But yeah, we just had like, what, 4 beats? And then we repeated it. All right, so nothing special. We'll just put down drum machine. All right, let's delete these because I don't need them at the moment. Oh, it will make some room for us. And now we can listen to this thing. You ever write something and you know it's wrong? All right, anywho. That's what this whole thing is about. So this entire series is I'm trying to show you a real glimpse into composing. And a lot of the time you're just writing stuff that you don't care much for, all right? But that's part of the process. I mean, in his masterclass, even Hans Zimmer talks about every single project. The man's done hundreds. He's widely considered one of the best living film composers. And he talks about every project starts with him having mini panic attacks, thinking, I'm a failure, I'm a fraud, everyone's going to find out because I'm not going to be able to do it again. And if you ever get a chance to listen to the Disney 4-Score podcast, which I highly recommend, it's a podcast where they interview the composers for different films. It's uncanny. Like the first 5 they ever came out with, all the composers talked about having that same kind of panic. Of every time they hit a new project, it's, oh no, I'm a failure, I'm a fraud, that's it, I'm done, I can't do this anymore. Even Alan Silvestri talks about feeling like that. So the idea is, if this is how you feel, that's okay. All right, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with you. All right, that's part of the excitement. Why is there a tempo change here? I'm going to delete that. That's part of the excitement, is having to challenge yourself, having to push yourself outside your comfort zone and try new things. All right, so that's kind of what I did last time. I've actually never started a piece by writing the rhythm or the groove first. Well, I've done something with the rhythm first. So like the piece I wrote for the Studio Ghibli video series, when I finished all the analysis of videos and it was up to the template, I started that piece by coming up with 10 different rhythms that I thought might work for the melody. All right, so I just kind of sat there and clapped out different rhythms. I recorded myself singing them, and I picked the one I liked the most, and I built it from there. But in terms of finding a groove, I've never been much of a groove writer. I've always been a melody writer. So that is what I'm going to try tackling in this video. All right? Actually, let's make this much longer. And we are going to start it the same way I typically start it. All right? By looking for a motif. All right, so let's go over some things that we talked about. So sibling bond and loyalty, the adventure themes, these are very important. I'm not going to pull up my big thing on the list here, but I remember talking about just a little interesting thing about the characters. They're lizard folk, and they're obsessed with eggs. All right, let's give my little MIDI keyboard. Aha, it's still on the groove. There we go. Let's give this a quick listen, see if my keyboard's working. Is my sustain? Yep, everything's working. I remembered going over eggs. Eggs are important to the characters. For whatever reason, lizard folk are super attracted to eggs. They're super attracted to shiny things. And so it's something that was written in the notes. So let's see if there's something we can do with that. The obvious thing would be to go the E, G. All right, maybe something like that. That seems a little on the nose. I want to try something with the chords. So real quick, what we are going to do, my friends, actually I'm going to delete this thing because we're just going to record something. All right, I'm going to set the timer. Well, or the metronome. No, I'm not going to set the metronome because metronome's in 7/8 and that'd be a little confusing at times. Let's just hit record and try the different chord combinations. So we've got an E minor moving to a G minor. All right. Our next option, I'll do a little blip just to separate them, would be E minor to G major. That's starting to sound a little more heroic. Now we can do E major to G major. That one's actually pretty common. The two major triads separated by a major third. It's very common. That was actually made pretty famous in. I don't know how that. If you're familiar with Howard Shore's score for Lord of the Rings. Oops, that's too low. Oops. Yeah, that's something I can't play. All right, I'm not getting it right. Either way, those two triads, the major triad separated by another major triad by a major third, those are pretty common for heroic stuff. And the last one that we had was the major triad, the major E major separated by G minor. Oh, that's again G minor. I cannot play today. I'm sorry. There we go. So that's the E major to G minor. That's a very dark sound, a very dark CR or chord relationship. So these are our options here. For at least now, I like to put boundaries on myself. So honestly, there are so many different chords. We could go. We could do all kinds of different things. All right. But at this point, I'm just kind of messing around. It's late, and I'm just improvising this whole thing, which is how this series is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a very behind the curtains thing. So please forgive me if I ramble a bit. What was I talking about? Yes. I was talking about constraints. All right, so back when I was studying psych and training to be a therapist, a big focus of my specialty was on the psychology of creativity. And one of the weird things about creativity, I might have mentioned it before, is that it tends to flourish when given constraints. All right, you might, I don't know how many of you can relate to this, but it's kind of thing like if you go to a big store, all right, and you're told, like if you ever go into one of those supermarkets and they got hundreds and hundreds of types of cereal, and you're told pick some cereal, or actually I'm talking about cereal. A better example, in my opinion, would be streaming services. All right, how many of you have gone onto Netflix or HBO Max or Disney Plus or any of those dozens of streaming services that are around nowadays and had to try and pick a movie to watch? All right, and thought, oh my goodness, there's too many choices, too many options, and it's difficult to pick. And then someone that you're with is like, hey, I feel like watching a comedy. All right, boom, suddenly your options are narrowed down and you can find a better chance. You have a better chance at making a decision. It's very similar in creativity. All right, when there are countless different directions that you can go in, it can be very difficult and it can be very stunting. But when you provide some constraints on what kind of directions you can go with. For example, right now I'm thinking I want to try and do something with these eggs. So for me, that means going from an E chord to a G chord. All right, whether that's an E minor to G major or an E minor 7 to a G major or whatever I'm doing. I want to try and see if I can make one of these work. All right. And let's see. Did I just lose my train of thought? I might have. I'm sorry about that. Please be patient with me. But, so yes, constraints. Yes, okay, so yeah, I know where I was going with this. So there are lots of other composers who also advocate for adding constraints. Hans Zimmer, again in his masterclass, talks about having rules to the story that you give yourself. So when he was doing the Sherlock Holmes soundtracks, he talks about having one rule where he told himself no classical music. All right, Sherlock Holmes has been done dozens of times. He's the violin player, and he's always playing the Bach. He's playing Mozart. He's playing all these different pieces from the repertoire of concert music. And he wanted to avoid that. He wanted to do something different. So he did a lot of Roma music. There were a lot of gypsy music, which I think we're not supposed to say gypsy anymore. So sorry about that if I'm offending anyone. But a lot of Roma music. And with that rule in place, when he said no classical music, no concert music kind of stuff, it really opened the doors to him to come up with this super creative option. So that's something that I'm trying to do here too. I'm trying to provide constraints to myself. I know that I want to do something folky. I know I want to do something more primitive that would fit more within a fantasy setting of the tribal and primitive lizard folk. And we'll get to that when it comes time to arrange it. But right now, for the motif, I want to see what I can come up with these limitations of what chords I'm working with. So let's go through these chord progressions again. I have the E minor to the G major. All right, I like that one. So let's actually delete this. I don't need that. I like that, the E minor to G major. The nice thing about that is that would fit diatonically in a major key. I'm thinking C major, actually. A lot of the harmony videos I've been doing lately have been in C major, so that's where my mind is stuck. But we'll go with E minor to G major. That's one I like. Let's see. We had E minor to G minor. All right, off the bat, I don't care much for that, but let's see what kind of inversions we can work with it. No, don't care much for that either. All right, so what is this? This is two minor triads separated by a minor third interval. This is a very dark chord relationship. It's a very ominous and dangerous sound, and used very frequently in that kind of situation, in film music and game music, all kind of media music. And you know what? It might come in handy. We might use this to reharmonize it later when we do battle music or something. But for now, it's not tickling my fancy. All right, so we have E minor to G major is an option. E minor to G minor is not. Let's try. We had on to the E majors now. I do like that one. All right, so the two major triads. Let's just flip that out there. I do like that one. Like I said, this is the Lord of the Rings chord relationship. Two major triads separated by a major third. So one thing you're going to see right off the bat, G sharp and G, these two cannot exist in the same key. So right off the bat, this is going to require something called tertiary harmony. So it's non-functional, not necessarily tonal. And I'll be releasing a video on this in the near future for the harmony series. But it's very common in film music. The idea that the chords move by thirds rather than by function. So E major to G major to B major to D major to F major, stuff like that. Or you could do... The idea is you pick your chords by basing off the relationships of they're within a third of each other. So this would be very interesting. This would be a whole other animal that we'd be working with. Non-functional harmony, which would be actually, now that I think of it, hold up. Sorry. Let's see. Adventure theme harmony, non-functional. Although it looks like I wrote non-cunctional. All right, by accident. Non-functional harmony, tertiary movement. Ha 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 ha. All right, so these are our notes. See, these are things that we write down. It was several weeks ago, and I forgot most of it. I should have reviewed all my notes before I started this. But I wanted to make sure that this was as real as we can get. Oh, right. So this one, I'm liking it. It sticks to our original plan. It provides some new little opportunities for us. But let's see what else we've got. All right, so it's E major to G minor. No. I don't like that as much. That one just seems... let me hear that again. Yeah, that's just dark for me. Dark. Very dark. That's a major triad going into a minor triad separated by a minor third. Wait, have I been describing this as a major third? I'm sorry. Two major triads separated by a minor third. An E is separated by G by a minor third, or 3 half steps. So, sorry about that if I've been confusing. I can't remember if I was referring to it correctly or not. So, let's see here. All right. I've got 2 here. So here's what we're going to do. All right, for me, it's a numbers game. All right, once I come up with a chord relationship that I like in this approach, I have a lot of different approaches I take, but right now we're going with the chords first. Just 2 chords, and I want to create a 2-measure motif. So that's what we're gonna do for the rest of this video, is we're gonna come up with multiple motifs. All right, I'm thinking a minimum of 4 per chord relationship. So hopefully by the end we've got 8 different chord relationships, or 8 different motifs that we can pick from and pick for our action adventure theme. So let's see here. Let's move that down here. We're going to copy and paste this. I'm going to give us a measure of rest in between each one just to separate them. And then this one, I'm going to trim and move over here. Let's focus on this. All right, I don't like having the parts. There we go, velocity. That brings a little more color to us. All right, so we have E minor to G major. All right, so right off the bat, let's just try writing something. All right, that's right, 7/8 time. This is gonna be funky. All right, difficult because it's going to be folk. So we talked about this in previous videos, but 7/8 time is a compound meter, and I brought this in specifically to try and get some of that Eastern European folk music impact of the irregular rhythms, the irregular accents, and odd meter is a fantastic choice for that. Odd meter is a combination of both compound and simple meter. Compound meter counts the beat in points of 3 subdivisions, so like 3 eighth notes per count on the beat. So the beat's counted by a dotted quarter note, if any of this makes sense to you. Basically, the beat would be 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. Whereas simple meter, it'd be 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So odd meter is a combination of the two. So it'd be like, so in 7/8 time, we have 7 eighth notes, and we have 3 beats that we can separate that into. So it'd be 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. And the best part, and I might be repeating myself here, but is we can mix this all up. We can shift that irregular accent. So instead of just going 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, every measure, we can go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Basically where we have 2 separate beats. In fact, let me try if I can do this. So E will go with, we'll pick G for now because it's in both beats, both chords. Oops, my B. All right, so we're gonna copy that. All right, so what we're gonna do is 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. We're going to get rid of that. We're going to bring these down so the stronger beats go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3. Now this one, we're going to do 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. This is just a rhythm I really like. So if we play it, all right, it's something there. All right, so that's just, I love working with odd meter for that specific reason. But let's see, let's pull up our notes. What did we come up with? All right, so rhythm, syncopation, rhythmically active, dotted notes, triplets, odd meter, irregular accents. All right, so these are the things we're working with. So let's take a rhythmic approach to this for a little bit, all right? Irregular accents. Let's find out where these accents are going to be and focus on syncopation. So let's try G, G. All right, let's go with that. Let's add some syncopation. Do the offbeat. All right. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun. So now I'm thinking. So now just different ideas are coming to me. So what if we did both of them on the offbeat? Bum, 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 ba da da. Then what if we did triplets? So since these are 3 eighth notes in one beat, they are counted as triplets. And let's bring these up to a B just to have a little bit of movement in the sound. Ba, 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 ba. Bum, bum, ba, da, da. All right, so now here's the tricky part. When you are writing a piano sketch, you have to consciously get past the sound of the piano. All right, so this was a mistake I used to make all the time when I first started composing. I'd write something on the piano, or I'd come up with a little ditty on the piano, and I'd just trash it. I'd say, nope, not gonna work. I don't like the sound of it. And then once I started buying sound libraries, my first sound libraries, I think my very first sound library was Albion 1 by Spitfire. I think that's a lot of people's first sound library, or at least it was. Um, and I got out the French horns for the first time. And suddenly, an idea I had done on the piano that I was about to trash, oh, it sounded so much better on the horns. Because the tone color is different, the timbre is different, just the feel of the sound is different. And that's something that you have to keep in mind as you write. The piano is not necessarily going to be the instrument it ends up on. Or if you don't write with piano, if you write with guitar, or maybe you're a wind player, or maybe you don't know any instruments, and that's perfectly fine. You just use your computer or you use your voice. Sometimes I do that. If I'm getting stuck on a scene that I'm trying to score and nothing's coming, sometimes I'll just turn on the mic and I'll sing while I watch it. Just improvise. I've come up with some good, what I consider to be great ideas by doing that. And so that's something that you really need to help. You need to you need to allow yourself that. You need to be patient enough with yourself to understand that it's not always going to, that the piano's at the end all be all. All right, it might sound better, it might sound different, whatever that is. I feel like I'm rambling at this point, so let's just get back to the music. So I don't know how many of you are watching Loki at the moment, but oh my goodness, I love that music. A big part of that soundtrack is just a huge, heavy, lower end, low instruments playing very powerful melodies. And so that's kind of what I'm feeling right now, is just the idea of a boom. These chords hit in the low end, and then some lower voices come in here. So boom, ba da da da. So I do like this rhythm. Ba 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 ba. So now that we've done this rhythm, and these aren't necessarily the notes I'm going to stick with, but we're building a motif. Let's see if we can come up with something similar. Closely related, but a little unique. It's kind of hard to explain. I think I did a video on this, actually, on the prevade method, where you can repeat it. I want to create something a bit longer than a one beat motif, though. So there are a lot of different things. For example, I could combine the triplet into one long dotted quarter note. I could try combining these two. Instead of ba 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 da da da, it's ba 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 bum. Ooh, I kind of like that idea. Let's undo that. Bum bum dum dum. Ba 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 da da bum 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 bum. Now I don't like the second triplet, so ba 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 bum ba 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 ba. Okay, this might actually work. Let's listen to this a bit. Ba 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 ba. Let's try pulling that a bit. So at this point, I'm just listening to it. All right, I'm listening to it. I'm coming up with different ideas in my head, and I'm reacting to it. Your reaction is very important. Don't get too into your head. All right, if something doesn't sound right to you in the moment, don't automatically go, it's trash, let's start over. No, just react. All right, you've got a gut. You're a musician, for Pete's sake. All right, at least no matter what you think about yourself, the very fact that you feel drawn to write music makes you a musician. All right, don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. And if you are a musician, that means you have a musical gut of some sort. Now, the more time you spend writing the music, the more time you spend learning music or studying music, the more developed that musical gut, that musical intuition or instinct will become. But you can't get it better if you don't use it. So when you're doing this, it's basically what I'm doing. I'm just reacting. All right. If an idea comes into my head, I try it without even second guessing it, or at least I'm trying to try it without second guessing, if that makes sense. I'm trying not to second guess myself. Wow. I think I repeated myself a lot in that phrase. Oh well, let's listen to it now. Okay. We got something there. Let's try bringing that D down. Let's try shortening this, bringing this up. Let's try that. No, oops, sorry. I have so many alarms on my phone. Sorry about that. I didn't like that. Let's go back to what this was. And then I imagine, let's see, so we're doing E minor to G major. So what if after that we went to B minor? So, because that's got to be in it. That's tertiary harmony. And I'm not going to chase this too far because I'm not trying to develop my chords yet. I'm not trying to develop these ideas. I'm just trying to come up with them. So. Oops. There we go. That was a B diminished. Now let's try bringing this back up to where it was. But there's no longer a G, so let's do an F sharp. All right, yeah, so I do like that idea. There is some potential, all right? And before I get too excited and start doing some other stuff with this, I don't think I'm going to keep it monotone. I don't think I'm going to stick with just G, but I'm happy with this, all right? Way happier than I was with the groove, all right? Because I can feel there's potential to this. Now, here's the tricky part. I mean, I could, okay, so right now I do have to make a decision, all right? I'm not going to pretend like I know the correct answer at this point. I can either think, this is it, this is a good one, I'm going with this, all right, and start working on developing this idea, finding the right pitches, finding out how the harmony is going to progress, all that kind of stuff. Or I can say, no, I had a plan, this might be it, but there might be something even better. All right. You know what? Just something that occurs to me. These aren't even the chords that I enjoyed the most. All right. I enjoyed the two major chords. So E major to G major. Two major chords separated by a minor triad. I love that Lord of the Rings CR. So, you know what? That does it. That does it. All right. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to hold myself to my plan. I'm going to hold myself to my word. And I'm going to keep developing more motifs. All right. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe when all the motifs are said and done, this will still be my favorite. But I want to see what else I can come up with. So I just came up with one based off. You know what? I want to make sure that this is a little bit lower. This one's a little higher, so we know that it's accented there. Real quick. All right, so now let's see what I can come up with this one. And again, this one I might spend more time on the pitches. I might spend more time on the rhythm. We'll see. Because, yes, I want to make sure, I don't know if I said this already, but this is not the finished product. This is not the finished motif. This is just a rhythmic idea that I really like. And I want to stop there before I meddle with it so much that I don't like it anymore. Because that's very easy, all right? It's very easy to come up with an idea that you like, and then you try to build it into something when you're not ready to build it yet. And suddenly you don't like it anymore because you just can't make it sound the way you want it to sound. And I'm a little worried that if I take this rhythmic thing that I like so much and try messing with the pitches too much, that'll be my issue. So I'm going to move on and then come back to it later. But let's see. So back to the G. All right, so that one was super syncopated. And we focused on the triplets. What if this one starts with the dotted note? All right, so that's going to be the 3. So now we've got 2 beats that have 2 8th notes. Let's see here. Ba-da-ba. Let's listen to this. Now what if I do a little syncopation? Dun, 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 dun. Ba, da, da. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1. Let's see. Let's see here. Boom, dum, dum. So this one's feeling a little sadder to me all of a sudden. So let's see. So what if we try reversing it? Let's try that. So a mirror image. All right, this is called retrograde, I believe, where you take rhythmic, where you take the rhythm, because there's different kinds of retrogrades. There's rhythmic, melodic, complete. The idea is that you take something and you flip it backwards. You do a mirror image of it. All right, so technically this would be complete. All right, mostly because we're only using the same pitch. Complete retrograde is when you keep the pitch assigned to the value. All right, and you flip it. So if we were to raise this up, then complete retrograde would look like this. All right, because the last note and last pitch is now the first, and then the same thing. They maintain the very same rhythmic value, and they maintain the same pitch value. So if it was melodic, then that would look something more like this. All right, so where it's the same rhythmic pattern. All right, we still have the eighth note, the dotted quarter note, eighth rest, eighth note, quarter note. But now we've reversed the order of the pitches. All right, but we are doing complete, which means that both are being done. And it just occurs to me I just did that whole explanation, but we have not heard what it sounds like. So I might not even use this. Let's give it a try. Ooh, no, something just came better to me, in my opinion. So what if we just don't try to do anything similar to the first measure and do our own thing? What if we do the 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3? So bum, 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 bum. So what if, let's try moving these up to the B's. And then, so let's try this. Bum, 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 bum. Ooh, okay, I like that. All right, and like the last one, I'm not going to overthink it. All right, I am not trying to create finished products here. All right, I'm trying to create things that can inspire me. All right, so that's another tip. So for the Ghibli video, when I was doing that theme for the where we covered the template after doing, again, I have to be more specific because there's multiple Ghibli videos and one of them just blew up on the algorithm, which was awesome. But that was the first video I ever did, and that one's very old, a little outdated. So the newer Ghibli video, the one that put all the analysis videos together and created the template, when I was doing that one, I did the rhythmic stuff, what I talked about earlier to come up with my melody. That was born of frustration. All right, I'd been overthinking stuff. I'd been freaking out. I had a week to write that piece left because I had procrastinated way too much. And I knew that that video needed to be dropped. I had said it would be dropping that day. And so out of frustration, I said, screw it. I took a piece of paper out of my notebook. I did 10 percussion staves. So 10 lines on the paper, basically. And I said, I am going to crank out 10 rhythms. All right, they don't need to be good. Just the first thing that popped into my head. And that's what I did. I clapped out a rhythm. Whatever it was, I wrote it down. The next one, whatever it was, I wrote it down. Third one, I went like that through all 10. And it was like the monkey at the typewriter analogy. All right, I was just slapping stuff out. Whatever I could come up with, I slapped on that piece of paper. And then when I had just thrown out a bunch of stuff without thinking of it too much, then I revisited them. All right, then I repeated them. I made some changes here and there. If I found what I really liked, I made some tweaks to it. I did whatever until I had found one that I really, really enjoyed, or that I thought, this is it. This I can work with. And that's something similar to what I'm doing right now. All right, now I'm just trying to crank out a bunch of different stuff. So we're working mostly with triplets and dotted quarter notes, dotted rhythms, because those are both very frequently found in heroic music. But let's see here. Syncopation, rhythmically active, dotted notes, triplets, odd meter, irregular accents, pitch, middle. So let's see here. So yeah, we're sticking with this basic idea. So last one we came up with something that started very highly syncopated. Last time we started with something that was not syncopated, but had a dotted with notes. Let's try something that's not syncopated, but still uses these short intervals. So we have short intervals in syncopation. We have longer intervals, no syncopation, at least for starting out. We did some syncopation later. Let's now try short intervals with no syncopation. So, bup, bup. Let's see. Bup, bup, bup. Let's see how that works. Ba ba da da ba da da dum dum dum. Let's try that. Ba ba da 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 da. Did the tempo shift? Let's see here. 100 beats per minute. 100 beats per minute. Nope. Nope. They did not. It just feels shorter for some reason. Maybe because I'm not using much syncopation. Let's listen to this. Ooh, so there we go. So this is actually kind of cool. I wasn't expecting this, but this is an example to what I talk about when I was talking about energy. So in the earlier videos, I talked about how energy is in music is impacted by a bunch of different stuff, but here we're seeing how syncopation has an impact on energy. So does shorter note divisions. So here we've got a bunch of eighth notes and lots of syncopation between the chords and the melody. Here we have some eighth notes, but significantly less syncopation, and they just, at least to me, feel much different. This one feels like it's got a lot more energy, and this one feels a lot slower. All right, it feels more sluggish to me, and that's just how some things are. Let's crank out one last rhythmic motif over here. So we did short notes with syncopation, short notes with no syncopation. Let's try a longer notes with syncopation this time. So let's see. So this one's going to be a bit weird because this one is crossing across 2 beats. So it would have to be notated very carefully. Or maybe not. What if we just did so the first 2 triplet 1 2 3 1 2 1 2. So let's listen to this. Let's try that. All right, so at this point, I've been at this for about 45 minutes now. It's fairly late. I'm quite tired. I still have a lot of cleaning I gotta do for that movie night bachelor party thing I was talking about tomorrow. So, I think I'm gonna end it here. Let's listen to these motifs real quick. And then in the next video, we'll pick up where I left off. We'll work on motifs for the other chord relationship, the 2 major triads. And I'm looking forward to that. That one's going to be fun, I think. I feel like I didn't get too much done today, so I'm sorry if you were expecting this to be written a lot faster. But hopefully the stuff I'm sharing, hopefully just being able to see these behind-the-scenes progress of everything is very useful. If you got any suggestions, any questions, anything at all, again, please leave them in the comments. A quick thank you to all of my wonderful patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. I'm really excited for the new Discord channel, getting to talk with you guys a bit more, being able to share music back and forth, and really just being able to share ideas and things like that. That's, I think, going to be really cool, really fun. I've loved the music you guys have shared with me so far, with the messaging and all that. So thank you so much. I'm very, very grateful for all of you, as well as all of you who are just supporting the channel by watching my videos, liking them, subscribing, and commenting. Thank you so much for your wonderful, wonderful comments. It really, it means more than you can know. So thank you so very much. In the meantime, as usual, keep working hard, keep studying, keep writing new music. All of those are so very important to musicians or really artists or anyone who's passionate about anything. Let's give one last listen to these motifs and then we'll call it a day. I still think that one's my favorite. That one's okay. That one actually sounds pretty closely related to the first. Yep, that first one is definitely my favorite, at least for now. Who knows? Maybe when I come back next for the next recording, I'll no longer like it. We'll see. That sometimes it works out like that. The next video, we'll go over the other chord relationship. We'll come out with some motifs for that. We'll compare them. We'll find a couple that I like that we'll develop. All right, I want to find at least 2 from each selection. So probably this one, maybe this one, that I'll develop into a full musical phrase. All right. And then we'll do the same with the other one. We'll pick 2 from the other chord relationship, develop 2 of those into a full musical phrase. And then from there, I'll pick the ones that I like, the one that I love the most. And that will form the basis of our thematic material for the action-adventure aspect of this theme. So yes, thank you once more to all of you. I hope you're all having wonderful days. I hope you're all living your best lives. And yeah, so until next time, bye-bye.